Hello?
I can hear you!
I don't know what happened there, because they're showing that that it was speaking, but...
No, it's me. Listen, before we start, I'm vlogging.
Yeah.
I'm not going to vlog everything, but
Okay.
are you comfortable with that?
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm not going to vlog everything because, like, people don't need to
Okay.
know my business like that. Hi!
Hi, how are you?
I'm good. I've been so excited to speak to you.
I've been so excited to speak to you.
Really?
Like, honestly, can I just say, I've got clear skin because of you. And I've got really organised because of... Hold on.
Girl, what you doing and all that?
Honestly, it is so good. I start my week with it, and it's pretty as well, which is good.
It is.
Yeah, so I'm super excited, and thank you very much, because that clear skin...
Girl, my skin is hanging. I'm on my period. My skin hasn't been the same since. Just finished my meeting with my wedding planner, which went really, really, really well. My skin is really bad at the moment because hormones, I'm on my period, but it will go back to what it should do, and I need to really stop bursting spots. It's really, really hot, and my handheld fan. Ooh. Yep, we've got a bit of a pandemic situation. But that's life, innit? I've got a year to lose some weight, and you're gonna come on the journey with me? I'm so unfit, it's actually a joke. The level of, you know, in the news when it talks about obese people, I know they talk about me because I regularly feel attacked. And some people are like, embrace your body, love your body. No one said you don't love yourself, but you know you're not healthy. And if you want to love yourself, be honest about the fact that you're unhealthy. So, in other news, I'm planning to upgrade my car. Currently driving an Audi A1, an Audi A1 Sport. She is beautiful. And I don't even drive it that much. Not as much as I thought I would. Guys. What's all this? What's all this? I know, I'm gonna have to go on oh god, here we go. You can't even, I'm gonna have to go on Amazon so that I can have my camera in the car and stuff. So I'm gonna get going. I need to, because I don't know where I'm going. I'm gonna have to put it in the sat nav, and then I'll be back. Look how bad it is. I'm trying to get you guys to see, but it's so bad. You heard the, oh, that was thunderstorm again. You catch that? Did y'all catch that? Hello, hopefully this will focus. Hi everyone, how are you doing? It is pouring down with rain. It is, I can tell you what date it is actually, the 25th of July. And I've already gone to Costco. I was going to film it, but honestly, I was in such a rush because I had an appointment at Newham General Hospital, University Hospital. So if you follow me on social media, you would know that I had a hysteroscopy last year, and it was just so traumatic, and I find it very difficult to talk about because I wasn't offered anaesthetic, and ordinarily with that type of outpatient procedure, it is a medical procedure. You are supposed to be offered anaesthetic. In fact, you have the option, but they should basically encourage the use of anaesthetic because it's such an invasive form of surgery. Now, as a result of that, I was told I had a polyp, and this is the reason why my periods are heavy. I suffer from painful periods. I've always suffered from painful periods since I started my period. I was 12 years old, and when I started my period, it was horrific. I was always crouched over. Periods were always quite traumatic, and as I got older, they started to get better, and then I would say mid to late 20s, again, I started having a lot of pain, feeling sick, close to vomiting. My doctor gave me tablets. So, that being said, I have done everything to get a diagnosis. At one stage, they thought I had PCOS, that's polycystic ovarian something syndrome. I'll write it somewhere here. And then they said, actually, you might have endo, because sometimes you can be misdiagnosed because some of the symptoms are the same. So at one stage, my doctor was saying, actually, because of like the acne, the pain, and I was having a lot of symptoms, she said it lent itself more to PCOS. But anytime I went to get an assessment or they would refer me somewhere, I would be told PCOS, I would be told endo. I was just being told so many different things. And I think the hysteroscopy was the last straw for me. And I'm actually going to make a formal complaint to PALS. And PALS is like a patient complaints body organisation. I will put their full name somewhere here. Anyway, it was horrific. Put it this way, I started with my bum towards the end of the bed. By the time I was done, my butt was always almost at the top of the bed, because the pain, and I can't liken the pain to something, because my pain threshold is high enough to tolerate the period pains, although it is uncomfortable, it is traumatic, but I know where it's going to go. This was different. This was aggressive. It was horrific. And after that, I didn't realise that I had really, really bad trauma from it, and everything that happened before, after, during. So I decided to change doctors, and I changed doctors, and I just had a really, really frank conversation with her. She's actually an American doctor, and she said, right, I want to start all over again, and I want you to go and get an ultrasound. And it's like a specific type of ultrasound where they put it inside you, like a camera inside. Fair, my periods are not as painful as they used to be. She says, you've got 2 fibroids. I almost started crying, because finally I feel vindicated, because I know that there's something. Now, she said to me, she doesn't think I've got PCOS, and she doesn't think I've got endo, but there's separate tests for that, so she's going to recommend I do that. But I did say to her, my hormones are really, really bad, so like, I'll get big spots. I don't have spots. I don't generally have spots, but when I'm coming to my period, I've got big spots, and this is the reason why, again, they thought I had PCOS, because that's one of the symptoms, like acne type spots. And she said, you know, as far as I'm concerned, the 2 fibroids are really, really small. She says, listen, I had a woman in here, she was pregnant, and this was like her 2nd or 3rd child, and she had about 10 fibroids. She was like, there's another woman that come in, she goes similar age to you, and she's just gotten pregnant, and her fibroids, like, there's 2 of them, no issue. So from that perspective, everything is fine. But from the perspective of trauma associated to my period, now I know. So every time I take my Nurofen, every time I have a cramp, I'm able to equate it to something, rather than thinking that I'm exaggerating, rather than being gaslighted by the NHS. And don't get it twisted, I think that the NHS are amazing at what they do, but there's not many of them. There's not, do you know what I mean? It's not like, they're understaffed, and they are chronically underpaid. This government is appalling. They disrespect the NHS so badly. They don't incentivize people to want to work for them. Medical racism needs to be spoken about and needs to be polarized, and I'm so passionate about it, because black women are gaslighted constantly. There is medical racism because the way in which medicine is taught, it doesn't actually allow black people to quantify pain. The pain threshold with black people and non-black people, they think is relatively different. They don't, when you tell, as a black woman, when I tell medical professionals I'm in pain, they trivialize my pain. Because I definitely will encourage you to make sure that you are on top of your health. That means your sexual health, your everything to do with you as a woman, whether you want to have a child or not. Your vagina health is your responsibility. Do not let these medical professionals gaslight you. Do not let them turn you away. Keep going. Change doctors, change hospitals. Did you know that you can tell them what hospital you want to be referred to? You can say, I want to be treated at so-and-so hospital, and they have to honour it. Did you know that? They don't teach those things. So if you take anything away from this, take away the fact that you are in charge of your medical health and the access to medical professionals. Hello, so I've come home wash my hands, stripped off my clothes. I'm gonna have a shower in a bit, but I need to do some cooking. I wanted to show you guys what I got from Costco. So if you follow me on socials, then you know, like, I love prawns. I'm a massive seafood person anyway, so I get my prawns from Costco. So I just want to give you guys the heads up, because some people don't understand the sizing of the prawns, and I don't either. If you look at the back here, you can see the prawns. So if you get this colour, which is like a teal greeny bluey, they're like the massive prawns. And then the light blue is like the medium, and then the turquoise is like the smaller prawns. So I think I'm gonna have fat prawns today. I'm gonna have fat prawns. And I need to tell you something. One amazing thing that I'm so grateful for during the pandemic is that me and Kay invested in an American style fridge freezer. I don't know how we coped with the other one, to be quite honest with you. It is amazing. We got one, it's called Haya. It's amazing, and there's no frost, it's like anti-frost and everything. It is absolutely, I don't know what life was like before that fridge freezer, but we're happy that it's here. And then I bought my favourite salad. Now if you go to Tesco's and Sainsbury's, they do half the size of this bag, but if you do Costco, do everything big. Let me show you what else I got. So in terms of sanitary towels, I have heavy periods, and you should have already seen kind of the reasons why from my appointment that I had, and I vlogged in the car. These pads by Tenor are the best. Tenor do panty liners as well, but these sanitary towels are amazing, especially if you've got heavy periods. I love cherries. Did you know that they did cherries, like orange and red, orange and yellow cherries? I didn't actually know that. I went to Costco's in Thurrock, and there was a guy there, and he was like, I used to be a farmer, and I'm telling you that the orange and yellow cherries are the best. And when I tried them, they were actually very, very, very delicious. I looked for them today and I couldn't find them, but I went to a different Costco's. I went to my local one in Chingford. So I've got 2 packets. Again, I snack so much, and I need to lose the weight. So I need to focus on fruit to snack on. I've got some avocados which haven't riped yet, so I'm not going to put them in the fridge. I'm going to leave them out. And also, do you know what? Where I live, they have like a street market. I think it's like every 2nd Friday or every 3rd Friday, something like that. But I wanted to show you, there's a black-owned business, and they were just, the women there were just so lovely. Anyway, I went in there and I bought Scotch bonnet and pimento oil. You guys know I love to cook. And I got some pepper sauce. And do you know what? I've said this on my socials, and I say it now. There is something amazing about investing in black businesses and buying from them and being intentional about how you spend your money. And I'm very intentional. So when I see a black business and they have things that I like and I want and I can afford it, I always pay for it, I always buy it. And they did some English honey. It's pure, raw, natural honey. And I got that for Kay because he loves honey. And these 2 for me. Let me give you the name of the company. They're called Pimento Hill. Here's the question: where do you put your sauces? So the hot pepper sauce I put in here in the cupboard. Some people put it in the fridge, but I usually use the Encona hot pepper sauce. So I'm really happy that I got one from a black owned business, because I don't think that this company is black owned, is it? Yeah, you have to be intentional, because when it comes to black issues, all the businesses that profit from black people, you can't hear them. They're suddenly silent. In fact, they'll tell you they don't get into political something. Right, so I'm gonna start making some dumplings, and I'm gonna take my rings off because I can't cook with my rings on. Might even take my watch off at this point, probably. I'll just leave my bracelet on. So this is the flour I use. I use the Home Pride self-raising flour. However, and it's pre-sieved. However, you can use the plain flour and put baking powder, but who's really got time for that? Don't ask me about measurements because I don't know. Do you know what? I really hate the fact that my face is cut off. It's really annoying. That's better, I think. But yeah, so I'm gonna put some flour, and I don't measure. I haven't got time for all of that, to be honest. People are going to be like, what do you mean you don't have time for all that? What type of cooking is that? So a bit of brown sugar. just a little bit. We're not making puff. And then some salt. So I only, oh, that was almost a problem. I only use Himalayan salt in the house. So I leave the flour out. And then we have some water. And then I literally little in. Oh. Doing the treatment for Tuesday's episode of Toy Talks podcast, and basically when I say the treatment, what I mean is, you know, there's certain topics I want to talk about, so the key points I kind of write down in a succinct way so that I can speak quite freely without, you know, reading to a script, because I'm not that type of person. But make sure that I cover the points and make sure that the key messaging within the podcast episode is being communicated, and it helps me stay on point as well. I don't do an episode of the Toy Talks podcast or release an episode without doing a treatment first, even if it's like a short treatment, and you know, it's just something to refer to. It gives the episode structure, people know what they're getting, and more importantly, I feel comfortable that, you know, there is a key message or key messages or a full episode that's going to be delivered. And it, yeah, I find it really like organizes me as well. And also because of my learning disability as well, I definitely recognize that when I'm in my creative space, sometimes I have brain freezes, so it's important for me to make sure that I, you know, write stuff down. And I just write in a notebook. I can't remember what company I bought this from, but I write it in here, and I've got like a few more notepads around the house, but this is mainly like about my podcast episodes. So I'm going to finish this off, and I am going to have a nice hot bath. I'm going to wash this makeup off my face. I'm going to steam my face as well, because whenever I have makeup I have to steam my face. Like, I need to just really make sure I get rid of all the makeup from my face. And then I'll probably have something to eat, something quite light, because I am watching what I'm eating. I'm trying to lose some weight. And then I'll probably relax, watch some reality TV, and either record or log on to work for an hour, or just go to bed and wake up really early. That's it for today. I know some people are gonna think I'm crazy, but I feel like this is the only way, like shock tactics, that I can get people to have this conversation. I will block out the sound of me urinating, because whenever we talk about black women accessing the NHS, I think there is a lot of discussion about it. There is a lot of gaslighting that I know I've personally received from my previous doctor and the NHS, but trying for a baby is not as easy as people think. For some people, they say, oh, it's really easy, I got pregnant really easily, but there is also a science behind it. And I think that there's not enough conversation, especially within the black community, about trying for a child or being consciously actively wanting to have a baby. And there are certain steps I feel like need to be taken, and the first thing is, you know, going to the doctors, checking your periods, the frequency of your periods. I know there's some women that have irregular periods. I know that I have heavy periods, but I've never missed a period. I started my menstrual cycle when I was 12, and it's always been on time, regular, never missed a period. But what has been traumatic has been the painful periods. I've always had painful periods. I've gone from feeling sick, can't move, on the floor, cramps, to heavy periods, exhaustion, dehydration, aching, you know, incapable of kind of sitting upright, you know. And as I've gotten a little bit older, I have noticed that my periods are not as bad as they were before, but they are heavy. So even leaking. I remember sitting down at my desk one time, I was doing some work, not realise I was leaking because my period was so heavy. And at that point I knew there was something wrong. I started having rashes, I got like acne on my chest and stuff, and I was told that I potentially have PCOS or endometriosis, and sometimes you can have a misdiagnosis of either or you can have both. And then I had an appointment at the doctor's. I was told, right, we believe you've got PCOS, but they couldn't justify why it was PCOS and not endo. And then I was diagnosed with endo and not PCOS, and they couldn't justify why it was endo. And I say endo as in endometriosis and not PCOS. So I couldn't get a positive or negative diagnosis. And then I started treating the underlying symptoms, which I believed were PCOS, PCOS. I don't think I have PCOS, but I would have uploaded already my appointment with the hospital. So I moved doctors, changed hospitals, and within 2 minutes I was told you've got 2 fibroids. So they're not fibroids of concern, especially where they're placed. They don't find them concerning at all. But obviously now I'm thinking about conception and, you know, trying for a child and stuff like that. So obviously I need to make sure I do like the preliminary MOT on my body just to make sure that I'm okay. And I guess there is this vulnerability in sharing this, but I feel like I have to, because I don't feel like enough conversation is had about this. And I don't know which woman is going to look at this and feel comforted that you're not alone. I know there's some people who've been trying for a baby for a really long time. I haven't been trying actively for a child, and when I have been, it's been for short periods of time, because I still feel as though there's a few things that I want to bottom out before I actively start trying. So in saying that, I do want to share something with you, and I am on the toilet, but this is where we're going to have this conversation, okay, because I spend a lot of time in here. So you can test using ovulation test strips how often you ovulate. And what people don't realise is you need to know how often you ovulate to be able to then start trying for a child, because you will do it around your ovulation. And I have this apps that I use, and I'll get into that a bit later. So I'm using these ovulation sticks, and you have to check that they haven't expired and everything. And this is the information then I take back to my doctor. I know I'm ovulating. They'll do ovulation tests anyway, but I won't do my ovulation test at home until I at a point where I can get an appointment to do an ovulation test at the hospital with my doctor. So I do have a blood test next week. I'm definitely gonna take you guys along with me. So I use the Clear Blue Trying for a Baby Advanced Digital Ovulation Test, and these are just the test strips. So I use these two to test the ovulation test. I've got these from Amazon actually. What are the blue ones? Oh my god, my back is hurting. Right, they're pregnancy rapid test strips. So, but obviously the ones I'm interested in are the pink one. Again, I got it from Amazon. I don't know how accurate these test strips are, but what I do find is the Clear Blue is a bit more accurate. So what I do is I don't know if you can see that, but it starts flashing, and then you know it's ready, and then you literally have to dip this in your urine. So now I know it's ready. I'm not actually going to put my urine on here because I don't think anyone needs to see it. So I'm now going to dip this into a urine. So I've got like a urine cup that I use. And some people just wake up one morning, they're trying for a child, and I feel like for me there's few preliminary things that need to happen before I actively and consciously start trying for a child. And I think especially in the African community, because obviously I can speak for the African community because I'm Nigerian, you know, you get pressure when you're going to have a child, No one wants to talk about the fact that there are things that need to be done beforehand. Like, people don't realise that there are issues in terms of fertility or
if they're ovulating enough, or even if they're having regular periods. No one talks about that. What people talk about, so you have to hold it upright like that, and then it basically tells me if I'm ovulating. If it's a smiley face, I'm ovulating. If it's a flashy smiley face, I'm ovulating. If it's a sad face, oh look, there it is. So if it's like nothing, then I don't have enough of those hormones that would say that I'm ovulating. Listen, I'm just, you know, I'm no scientist here. If it's flashing, then it's high ovulation, which means that increased point of getting pregnant if I was to try for a child. And if it's just the smiley face, then I've peaked. So really, you want to be between high and peaked. I say remote working has had so many benefits for me, because I feel like I can go to my doctor's appointment, go to my hospital appointment, not worry about work, trying to get into work before a certain time, all of this. And then obviously I'm having to piss in a cup, piss in a stick. You don't really want to be doing that in the office, do you know what I mean? Especially if you're getting the results that you don't want.